In January 2019, Bangladesh filed a lawsuit in the US court against Philippine bank Rizal Commercial Banking Corporation over its role in one of the world's biggest cyber heists. Unknown criminals used fraudulent orders on the SWIFT payment system to steal over $81 million from the Bangladesh Central Bank account at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The money was sent to accounts at Manila-based RCBC and then vanished into the casino industry in the Philippines. On June 25, 2020, Wirecard, valued at $28 billion and among the 30 listed companies on Germany's prestigious DAX stock index, collapsed, owing creditors more than €3.5 billion after disclosing a gaping hole in its books that its auditor, Ernst & Young, said was the result of a sophisticated global fraud. The company offered electronic payment transaction services in all continents. Ernst & Young, Wirecard's auditor for over a decade, refused to sign off on the company's 2019 accounts, saying it had been provided false information about company accounts and could not confirm whether balances worth €1.9 billion existed, around a quarter of Wirecard's whole balance sheet. Wirecard insisted the missing money had been sent to two banks in the Philippines, a claim that was refuted by both the banks as well as the country's central bank, which said the money had never entered into its monetary system. Why is the Philippines such an attractive destination for money launderers, and what is the Philippine government doing about it? I'm your host Laksh, and welcome to The Broken Concept, your daily dose of geopolitics. The Grey and Blacklists are the Global Financial Action Task Force classification for countries that they say need to do more to fight money laundering and terrorist financing. There are 23 countries on the Grey List at present, while 2 countries, North Korea and Iran, make up the Blacklist. Recent news of Turkey joining Pakistan in the Grey List was covered extensively in the global media. However, not a lot of news sources covered the Philippines falling back into the Grey List. The Philippines was first blacklisted in the year 2000. At the time, this list was called the NCCT list, which stood for Non-Cooperative Countries or Territories. In 2001, in an attempt to get rid of this classification, the Philippine government passed the Anti-Money Laundering Act, or the AMLA. The enactment of the policy exhibited an unusual pattern in the policy-making process of the Philippines. The AMLA was largely enacted by virtue of external pressure and was the first serious effort to focus on the problems that existed in the financial system. The policy was passed principally to satisfy the demand of the Financial Action Task Force to conform to the global standard, to beat the deadline, to avoid the imposition of countermeasures, and to be removed from the list of non-cooperative countries and territories. To avoid sanctions, the Philippine government made extraordinary efforts to ensure compliance, such as the collaboration shown by the executive agencies, the swift action taken by the legislators, the circumvention of rules and procedures, and the manipulation of the bicameral conference committee. The steps taken speak of the tremendous influence an international organization can have on the policy and the lawmaking proceedings of a country. The initial effort began when President Gloria Arroyo made a commitment to the FATF in May 2001 that she would certify the urgency of passing an anti-money laundering law. The formal efforts commenced in the legislature when the Interagency Committee, composed of representatives of the Department of Justice, Finance, Securities and Exchange Commission, and the Banco Central, or the Central Bank of the Philippines, was formed. The interagency conducted hearings with multiple stakeholders and came up with the executive version of the AMLA. In 2005, the Philippines was taken off the NCCT list, but the celebration was short-lived, as 3 years later, the FATF again noted deficiencies, and in 2010, the country was back on the grey list. In 2011, the country missed the deadline to implementing these suggestions, and in 2012, after making some progress, the Philippines sought reconsideration. But rather than exit the grey list, the FATF downgraded them to the dark grey list, saying key concerns were not met. The FATF again imposed the new deadline of 2013. It was after the Terrorism Financing Prevention and Suppression Act was passed the same year that the Philippines was removed from the dark grey list. 4 years later, in 2017, they were removed from the grey list. But again 2 years later, in 2019, upon inspection, the FATF passed on 70 recommendations and placed the country under observation for a year. In 2021, the Philippines was able to show progress on just 52 of the 70 recommendations and found itself back on the grey list again. The move from the FATF could now make it more difficult for the archipelagic nation of some 107 million people to attract foreign sources of investment and capital. So there are 18 recommendations the Philippines is yet to act on, but there are 2 major and critical reasons as to why the country finds itself on the grey list repeatedly. To find out, let's go back in history. The year was 1955. The Philippines had gained independence in the ashes of victory. Intense fighting, especially around Manila, in the last days of the Japanese retreat, had nearly destroyed the capital. The economy generally was in disarray. On the 9th of September 1955, the Republic Act No. 1405, otherwise known as the Bank Secrecy Law, was approved. This law was enacted to encourage individuals to deposit their money in banks instead of hoarding it. The Philippines is the only remaining country in the world with a bank secrecy law after Lebanon lifted the secrecy on bank deposits late last year. While such a law may have been essential in the 50s when the world used to transact in fiat currency, today this law is used by corrupt politicians and businessmen from around the world to park black money in the Philippines and escape scrutiny. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has included a bill seeking to erase the country's strict bank secrecy rules in his list of legislative priorities in his final year in office, and hopefully we should see this archaic law meet modern standards. The Philippines is home to a large and growing online gaming sector that before the arrival of the coronavirus pandemic was actively engaged in seeking customers from across the whole of Asia-Pacific region, including China. The nation will now purportedly only be taken off the FATF's grey list if it can successfully demonstrate that it has adequately implemented a series of recommendations to improve its anti-money laundering vigilance. The required recommendations include controls to mitigate the risks associated with casino intermediaries. The Financial Action Task Force has given a January 2023 deadline to meet all pending requirements. The Philippines Anti-Money Laundering Council has expressed confidence that the country will be removed from the grey list by this deadline as it works with other government agencies to plug gaps in implementing measures against dirty money and terrorism financing. Attorney Mel Resla, Executive Director of the Philippines Anti-Money Laundering Council, has said that while Philippines has achieved technical compliance, effective compliance is yet to be demonstrated.